Part of it might just be reputation. Whenever anyone hits the deck on their team, fans might be quick to kind of condemn that as a flop. Defensively, that possession better not start a trend because they just handed him 2 points.
You know, the Clippers were the darlings of the NBA as they improved and made strides, but I think the flopping has kind of diminished that now, that love affair. Being labeled a group of floppers can certainly stifle your popularity.
Looking at Los Angeles, they took the win in their last game against the Kings.
And really an emphatic win for them, especially considering that it came in an opponent's building, and there's no question it was their offense that carried them.
I love the way they went and got this game, Greg. I mean, they attacked at every opportunity, never relaxed or sat back, and as a result, they eventually pulled away.
All with it. 23 points for him the last game against the 76ers in Philadelphia.
Just cannot find the rhythm. Still yet to hit a shot this quarter. He's been wayward and just off on about everything he's put up in this period.
And it's Otto Porter with the foul.
And that's his second foul already, and that's going to force him to tone down his aggression defensively.
And the Wizards making a change here. Morris is checked in. Here's Crawford. In the game against Sacramento, very impressive. Crawford missing again. And for Marcin Gortat, he was such a good fit for the Wizards last season. Actually, the last 2 seasons.
You know, he runs the floor very well for his size. A terrific finisher, solid in the pick and roll, can make the mid-range. You know, he's been one of the more consistent centers in our league. And that lead pass allowed him to get straight to the rim unabated in stride.
And the Clippers miss again.
His touch has disappeared on him this quarter. He just hasn't been able to get it going.
Now the Clippers moving it up. And Mbamute with it. Guarded now by Morris. Jordan the pass to Paul. And a miss there on the triple.
You know, getting back to Gortat, he signed that 5-year, $60 million contract a couple of years back. Raised some eyebrows at the time because he's not a supreme athlete, but his size, effort, and refined skill set have made him worth it so far.
And really no choice but to lunge for that pass to make sure it didn't get through.
Yeah, and that was important. Probably would have been a quick 2 points if he doesn't get a hand on it and knock it out of bounds.
And the Wizards making a change here. Temple's checked in. The Clippers also changing it up. Green, he's checked in for Mbamute. Johnson comes in for Pierce. And J.J. Redick is subbed in for Jamal Crawford. And we're just over 3.5 minutes into the first quarter. Temple gets the bucket.
And talking about Gortat, I like what he can do for you defensively. Doesn't really have a vertical, but uses his length and timing to alter shots. And he moves his feet well enough to close out on shooters and also cover the pick and roll. So solid and complete in terms of a frontline player.
Here's Temple. Clippers able to drain the 3 out to the right wing. From deep, Wall. Again, the miss by Wall. The Clippers trail. There's 45 seconds left in the first quarter. The feed now to Ball. There's the triple. Green kicks to Redick. His 3-pointers off the mark.
Oh, that's a tough 3-point try when you've got the defense right there.
Well, he'd have to be really good to knock down a shot like that against that kind of defense.
Washington making some changes. Nene, he's checked in for Gortat. And Sessions subbed in for John Wall. And then for Los Angeles, Aldridge comes in for DeAndre Jordan. And it's Pablo Prigioni in for Chris Paul. That's good.
That's how to orchestrate for your teammate. Terrific pass.
There's 18 seconds left in the first quarter. Prigioni, that's a 2-pointer. And the rebound goes to Nene.
I tell you what, folks, I bet he won't miss that shot next time he takes it.
Here's Sessions. And it's off from 3-point range. At the end of one, a closely contested game so far. And a chance to hear from DeAndre Jordan, who talks about the inspiration he drew from. A strong case can be made that Jordan played like the Defensive Player of the Year, Clark, this past season. And and the fact that he didn't win it looks like it'll keep him motivated.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I love the passion he plays with defensively. It seems like a burning fire in him, and Doc has stoked that fire with desire and inspiration. You've got to love how the passion to play defense burns in DeAndre.
Welcome back, folks. We have a close game here at the start of the second quarter of play. And before we move on, what do you guys think about what we've seen so far from the Wizards?
Just the way they've been able to pound that backboard. I think that's been the difference.
Establishment of a good low post presence, a big part of the success.
Markieff Morris is out there with Nene. Then there's Ramon Sessions. Then it's Garrett Temple. And it's Porter in at small forward. That's the group on the floor right now for Washington. The Wizards with the lead. Well, nobody really knew, Greg, what to make of Washington going into last year's playoffs. They came out strong with a big sweep against a pretty good Raptors team.
Yeah, how about taking them down 4 straight? And it was the first time a team has swept an opponent without home court advantage since 2011. Also was the first sweep for the Wizards in franchise history.
Jordan dishes to Paul. And he caught that pass in full stride on his way to the big slam.
And guys, that's a big swing right there. I mean, taking the steal and then turning it into 2 easy points on the dunk.
No telling how important that sequence could turn out to be.
And guys, in a game this snug, moments like that are the ones we usually look back on at the end as a difference maker.
Jordan the screen to the left side wing. And it's Paul penetrating, and it's blocked. Second quarter of action, about a minute and a half played. No one near Sessions as he lets it fly. And again, Washington no good. Outside Pierce. To the paint, it's stolen by Morris. Porter against Jordan. And fouled hard that time. He'll get to the line and shoot 2. It's going to be on DeAndre Jordan. Otto Porter, hailing from a family of basketball players. His mom, All-State in '85. His 3 uncles won state titles. Deep basketball roots.
And how about the fact several of his cousins also won state championships, although Otto is the only one in the family to reach the NBA.
Looking at who's out there now for the Wizards. Gortat's checked in for Markieff Morris. Bradley Beal comes in for Garrett Temple. And it's John Wall in for Sessions. Wall against Crawford. Gortat with the steal. And now Porter pushing it up. No one back to stop him. Nene the pass to Gortat. And Wall kicks to Beal. Nice ball movement by Washington. Wall up top, defended by Paul. And taken away by Paul. It's Pierce with the drive. And it's going to be 2 free throws. Drew contact on the shot.
You know, getting back to Otto Porter's basketball family, it really prepped him to compete. Your family is the first place you learn to navigate and win battles in competition. And that goes for sports and life.
Catching up on the changes for Los Angeles. Cole Aldrich. He's checked in for DeAndre Jordan. Redick comes in for Jamal Crawford. And it's Pablo Prigioni in for Chris Paul.
I like it. I like it. He broke out the fancy finish there. And talking about Porter, he certainly has worked hard to improve upon his weaknesses. That's a trait that's often instilled in a man at a young age. And he's not an explosive athlete, but his motor and want to compensate for that.
To the wing on the left. Lets it go from deep. And that one's good. And it's a 4-point Washington lead. So for the Wizards, their last game a win against the 76ers.
And Kevin, you know, they showed how important it is to have a strong bench. I mean, when you are on the road, that depth is vital. I think they really utilized the second unit to extend their offensive assault and just really wore down their opponent.
And guys, I think what you saw from them throughout the game was teamwork. This is a team. Regardless of who was out there on the floor at any given time, they got it done. And that has to make you feel good as a group.
And it's Johnson penetrating. Can't cash in from close range.
And fancy finishes like that look great, but man, it's embarrassing when you blow. Just a great job of attacking on the break.
Yeah, you know, exploding to the basket like that, Greg, just as soon as that ball was going the other way, that's exactly how you want to do it.
Again, Pierce missing.
You can't get in a much better position for the three than that. Everything was right on target, it just didn't fall.
Outside, Wall. He kicks it to Gortat. Porter dishes to Nene. Gortat the pass to Porter. Beal with the steal. Right side, Wall. And the powerful one-handed slam.
Quick hands on the steal and then just mad hops on the slam.
Great sequence for them defensively and Clark offensively.
Well, one usually leads to the other, Kevin. That's just good, aggressive, attacking basketball at both ends.
Special thanks to Kia for that sweet Kia Slam Cam replay. And that's going to be a turnover. They call him for 8 seconds. Deep two from Crawford. That misses, would have counted, and we've reached
the 2K Sports Halftime Show.
Ernie Johnson here again with Kenny Smith and Shaquille O'Neal. We welcome you. A pretty close game for the Wizards throughout the first quarter. At the end of the period, they held a 3-point lead. And let's get your thoughts, Kenny, on the Wizards.
Love the result.
And that's it for halftime as the second half is just about to get underway.
We have a close ball game on our hands as we get set for the second half of basketball.
A good quarter for Porter. 9 points, and from long range, he's hit 1 3-pointer.
And when it's all said and done, I got a sneaky suspicion he's going to have a few more.
Heading underway in the second half, here's the 5 for Doc Rivers. Ball and Crawford pair up at the 1 and 2. Pierce out there with Luke and Bahamuti. And it's Jordan in at the pivot spot, manning the middle. Clippers trail by 6.
And really, the last few seasons, the Clippers have been one of the most consistently strong teams in the league. A far cry from when they were a bottom feeder back in the day. They have become one of the premier franchises in the NBA.
And the whistle blows. It's going to be on John Wall. That's his first foul.
Yeah, that's a tough call right there, and really a tough break for the D.
Greg, no problem for me with that call. I mean, he was still sliding right there.
Los Angeles making a switch here. Green's checked in. It's Crawford on the wing. Fires from the corner. The Clippers rebound. Jordan kicks to Crawford. Crawford missing again.
Yeah, just a solid job on the backboard. They are really controlling the inside.
Well, they're working the glass, really battling in that area of the game, and that's helped them stake this lead.
They can't guard us on the perimeter. Spread the floor and isolate up top. Spacing, fellas. Spacing.
Powerful athlete, Greg. High basketball IQ. Had the great teaching at Florida. Carries it to the NBA. Opponents have to account for him, I think, on both ends of the floor.
And that's a great point, Kevin. I mean, coming out of college, a lot of people compared him to Ray Allen. I mean, he possesses that next-level smoothness and body control that's often indicative of a true difference maker.
Garrett Temple has checked in for the Wizards. Gortat with the block.